Hi, joining us now, Erik Boal from Dystad. Erik is the man when we talk, every level of cross country, but especially high school cross country. And we're getting ready to all the national meets coming up. So we asked Erik to come on and give us a little bit. So, Erik, if you were dividing up the country into the four regions that the champs use, the champs XC use of the Northeast, the South, the Midwest, and the West, who would you say is the best kids in each of those regions?
Well, always a pleasure to be with you, Tim and Carrie. Can't wait for the regionals on November 26th and December 3rd, and ultimately for everybody to be back in San Diego on December 10th. If we're going, left to right, so let's start with the Northeast. Obviously, you got to be super excited about the return of Carrie Beloga from Cornwall Central, fourth place last year. Has had a return visit to Balboa Park and Morley Field on her mind. Committed to Colorado, has represented the United States over the summer in the steeplechase, but she wants to get back there and she wants to win a national championship. So she's the known commodity on the girls' side, but maybe the more unknown commodity on the guys' side, Brian DeCola from Hatboro Horsham, a gentleman who was 67th in the regional last year. You guys know me. I love the rags to riches story. I love the guy, that maybe had the off day or hadn't really come into his own yet. So he's undefeated this year. Had an unbelievable run so far in Pennsylvania. So we got the known commodity in Carrie Beloga, maybe the more under the radar commodity in Brian DeCola. That's the Northeast.
Okay.
Then
let's go around the country.
Okay, so let's go to the South. Again, the known commodity on the girls' side, Kiara O'Shea, Madison Central, Kentucky, 26th last year, signed with North Carolina. Again, a woman that has really kind of come into her own this year. Just captured her fifth Kentucky state title. Yes, I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because they allow them to compete in junior high. Certainly, Carrie knows all about that as someone who's very familiar with Minnesota, that you can compete 5 and 6 times if you want. So fifth state title for Kiara O'Shea. But I mean, she put down a sensational performance on the Bourbon County course there. All-time record for Kentucky, 17:07. She went to Laverne Gibson earlier this year and ran under the lights. Ran the second fastest time ever there, behind only Sydney Thorvaldsen. So, again, that's the known commodity. A gentleman that is very much known now but wasn't as well known last December was Rocky Hansen from Christ School in North Carolina. 38th in the regional last year, but a guy that obviously is every bit as good as anyone in the South and really the United States. Again, unbeaten so far this year. Just a truly remarkable kid going to Wake Forest. So obviously we got a lot of ACC presence that could potentially be coming out to San Diego. And obviously, as Carrie well knows, the ACC showed up big time at the NCAA championships. A lot of depth. So there's the South. Midwest, probably the guy that I'm most excited about. And obviously, everybody should be excited about him as well. After his 14-22 performance at Laverne Gibson, Hunter Jones, Benzie Central, Michigan, was there last year. But I look at him very much in the role of the Riley Ho, from last year to this year. Hunter didn't finish in the top 30 in San Diego last year, but I think obviously he's elevated significant levels. And then I'll keep the theme in Michigan of a young woman, Helen Sachs, from Holland, West Ottawa in Michigan. Already has big-time regional credentials, phenomenal performance at the state meet. So I think it could really be a Michigan showcase in the Midwest. And then out west, obviously a woman that we didn't know, Tim and Carrie, back in late September and October, what her future was even going to be like this season. But Tim and Carrie, I think now we know that Sadie Engelhart is very much back, overcome the illness. Ventura, California sophomore, got that last All-American, 15th place last year. But obviously we all know from her success on the track, is a woman that, as long as she's healthy, can run with anybody in the United States. And then on the guys' side, maybe there's some recency bias there. I certainly hope that if one of these guys picks to stay in California and to go there, but you kind of got to look at a Matthew Donis from Palmdale Highland after what he did at the CIF Southern Section Finals. You got to look at an Evan Noonan from Dana Hills, California, after what he did at the CIF Southern Section Finals. But if they don't choose to go to the Champ Sports West Regional, Landon Heemeyer from Rocky Mountain, Idaho, would be my selection.
Wow, how do you know everybody all over the country?
That's the beauty of this time of year, Tim. We get to celebrate the best teenage runners in the United States.
It's so cool. But I mean, like, you've given us all your faves, sort of.
Yes.
But like when I was at the NCAAs, there were a lot of really big names that we were studying. But you always have the dark horse, or you always have this new, young, fresh face that not a lot of people know about. But Erik Boal knows all about him.
I appreciate that, Carrie. You know, sometimes we got to look layers deep. So I'll stay in the West and I'll work my way back to the Northeast. So on the guys' side, just a couple of names to keep in mind. Tim, and a guy that we're going to have the blessing of watching at the California State Meet upcoming, Joshua Bell from Templeton. If you can't get excited about Joshua Bell versus Evan Noonan versus the rest of the guys in Division III in California, but Joshua Bell was 20th at the West Regional last year. He loves the Mount Sac course. He comes down to the Mount Sac Invitational every year. So I look at him as the hometown guy or the home state guy. And then I look at, since Oregon always has a great track record of coming down to Mount Sac, I look at Logan Law from Milwaukee High School. And that's Milwaukie, not EE like Wisconsin. So those are the sleepers for the West boys. Tim, another young woman that we're going to have the blessing of being able to watch at the California State Meet, Ashlyn Boothby from Scotts Valley. It might be the deepest Division IV race ever in California this year. She was brilliant at the Clovis Invitational. I think she is largely underrated, not only in the state, but nationally. And then outside of the state, because Washington always travels so well to the West Regional, Jessica Freidelund from Anacortes, Washington. She's in a 2A classification, so she doesn't get the same spotlight as a lot of the women in the higher classifications in Washington, but I think that she's ready for a monster breakout performance. So that's it in the West. We'll go to the Northwest, or excuse me, we'll go to the Midwest next. And I have a pair of Addisons. I figure if one is good, two is better on the girls' side. So Addison Knobloch from Homestead, Indiana, and then Addison Dorenkamp from West Des Moines Valley in Iowa. I think either one of those women, if not both, are capable of making the team. And then for the Midwest guys, both of you know, Tim and Carrie, that sometimes you could have the greatest season and there's unfortunately one hiccup or just one stumbling block along the way. I think a lot of people forgot about how great Sage Wild from Liberty North in Missouri was because he had some unfortunate circumstances in his last postseason race. But people also need to remember that at Chili Pepper in Arkansas back on October 1st, he went toe-to-toe with Connor Burns, another great Missouri athlete who's a sub-4 miler. And so obviously he's going to be very much motivated to find a pathway to San Diego. And then another one that kind of falls under that same category. And we can't talk to the great Carrie Tollefson without bringing Minnesota into the mix. Sam Scott, Minneapolis Southwest, is a gentleman that has showed up big time at Roy Griak. He showed up big time at the state meet at St. Olaf. And so obviously I'm really excited about Sam Scott's potential in the Midwest. Do we want to go to the South?
Go on, you're on a roll, my man.
I appreciate it. South guys, I think one of the most underrated performers in the country, Charlie Ortmans from the Potomac School in Virginia, state champion. Virginia always has a great showing at South. Usually the best of the best for them are always representing with the best of the best from the South. And then obviously Tennessee having such great history. We saw the great Keegan Smith last year, the freshman. This year I'm talking about Luke Thompson from Brentwood Academy. Actually beat Keegan Smith head-to-head in their state classification in Tennessee. So those are the guys that I look at on the boys' side. On the girls' side, now, I don't necessarily consider these girls sleepers, but I'm very excited to have potentially a twin killing, if you will, with Nicole Humphreys and Samantha Humphreys from Flower Mound, Texas. Obviously, and if we think that Flower Mound sounds familiar, why does it sound familiar? Because the great Natalie Cook is the reigning defending champion, and these two girls were on the same team as her that set the national record in the 4x-mile indoor relay. So let's get excited about the fact that we could have not one but two girls from Flower Mound in Texas, and then another great Texas athlete, Shawai Johnson from Prosper, actually started her high school career in Iowa, but is concluding her high school career in Texas, and I think that she's very formidable as well. And we'll wrap it up in the Northeast. Lucas Regino from Elizabeth, New Jersey, really come into his own in the past month, and we know the success of the New Jersey athletes. We saw it with Shane Brosnan last year from Union Catholic. I think Lucas Regino really fits that role this year. And then Drew Griffith from Butler area high school in Pennsylvania, a guy that is unbeaten, largely untested this year, but I think he's really looking for the breakthrough performance at Northeast at Van Cortlandt. And last but certainly not least, the incredible Northeast girls. We remember last year how much that group treated us to an absolutely blockbuster performance. Well, Carrie Beloga is going to be there. Zario Maki is going to be there. We hope that Ellie Shea is going to be there. But guess what, Tim and Carrie? They need 7 others on the line too, right? So let's go with Angelina Napoleon from Allegheny Limestone, the national record holder right now in the 2,000-meter steeplechase. And Carrie, where's she going to school? North Carolina State. Lori Hennis, reigning defending 2-time NCAA champions. Got to fill up that lineup, right? Caitlin Tui and Kelsey Camille aren't going to be there forever, so we got to get Angelina Napoleon there too. And lastly, I think one of the real sleepers in the entire country, I hope that she pursues postseason opportunities because she has not prior to this year in her career, Ruth White from Orono, Maine. This young woman is incredible. Again, hasn't had the same spotlight maybe as the athletes from New York and New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. But Ruth Orono would be an awesome complement to this group in the Northeast that are the reigning defending champions again, Orono, Maine. Those are your under the radar, sleeper, waiting for the spotlight men and women.
Love it.
You are the man. Carrie, did you write all those down?
No, I'm going to go back and watch this over
I
and
know,
over
3 or
before.
4 times. Eric, your passion is infectious, and your knowledge is unparalleled. So we really do
I mean,
appreciate
if I were a Division I coach right now, Tim, I'd be calling this guy, paying him the big bucks to do all the recruiting.
There you go. You can save yourself a lot of
We got to look far and wide. We got to look far and wide. We got to find the next Natalie Cook. We got to find the next Riley Ho, and sometimes they're coming from 67th place at the regional before they're ever coming from 4th place or 16th place or 25th place or 33rd place at the nationals.